Hello, this is Ethereal Awakening, and I wanted to do kind of like an energy update for my channel, what I've been picking up and what I've been going through for the past couple weeks. Um, there is, with today's date being 12/12/2019, and then the full moon we just had, I'm in the central part of America. Um, so, there's some integrating, definite integrating. There's a sense of heaviness in the collective. It's a sense of sadness, and what I've had to, in my own personal life, detach from people, relationships of all sorts, not just romantic relationships, familiar relationships, platonic relationships inside of familial relationships, my relationships with strangers, there's been huge detachments that have had to be uprooted. Now, that doesn't change my love for my family, or even my exes, or friends that I no longer share the same energy with. My love for them has not changed. So after going through a period where I had to allow myself to feel the feelings of those detachments, which hurt. They hurt very bad. Because it removed everybody. I mean, it removed everyone. And I had to be soft with myself. I had to be caring to myself. I had to go through that period of forgiving myself, forgiving them, even though they not asked for an apology. And most of the time those detachments were forced upon me. I've clung with both hands. Absolutely unnecessary. And I had to go through that period of discovering who I am because of all those detachments. When you're removed from everyone that you know as a comfort or a stability, you are only left with you. And that hope that was in me, that love that was in me, that spirit, universe, God that was in me, didn't allow me to just fall to the wayside. That was the breakthrough I needed to finally reconnect with me. And so I was actually going through a good 3 or 4 months where I was profoundly and emphatically resonating on such a high frequency. I felt untouchable, unstoppable. I felt so connected to everything. The big picture in every situation I found myself was evident within an instant. And this is through a time when I started off homeless, living behind a church, on a pallet, an old piece of rug on a pallet behind a church. And next thing you know, it was like profound psychic change, finding myself, and then progressing forward to get me to where I am now, in a home, actually in transition from in between jobs, and I'm still in a home, not living behind a church. So manifesting into my life what I deserve. I've actually built up 3 friendships since July, and this is December, that I feel very sure of. These are people who, despite the circumstances, I've been able to call, I've been able to reach out to, and these are things that I've never experienced in my life. I've never been able to feel so secure to call a friend. I'm not doing well. I just would like to get out of the house for a minute. I'll be there in 45 minutes. That's unheard of in my life. I'm always the one that gets ignored. Completely ignored. And then if I try to, like, no, I really, like, need some, like, completely, like, no, you don't understand. I can't do this for you. And it's not like I want everyone consistently. And because I knew what that felt like, I was the opposite way, which turned me into that people pleaser. You know, I like to think of it as the proverbial handicapped kid that never gets picked for the dodgeball game, but is sitting there going, pick me, pick me, pick me. But yet, at the end of the, team selection, is actually the one that's the target. And it was learning that I don't have to stand here and go pick me, pick me, pick me externally. Internally, I was doing that to myself from my earliest memories, and somehow weaseled around that since I can earliest remember. So what in my external life was going to mirror anything back other than, well, if you can't pick you, nobody else is either. So now I'm recognizing in my external friendships what's authentic, because I'm authentic. I know not to go against what this internal, intuitive GPS, God-given GPS has been telling me. It's integrating the lessons that I've learned from as way back as I can remember now. Because even though I didn't know them then, and now I have recognition of them. And I can go back into my memory and go, oh, what was that trying to tell me about myself? What was that trying to tell me about myself? What did I not pick up on then that now I can integrate? Because I'm definitely, over the last 2 weeks, not that same high in the sky, up in the ethereal. I mean, it was literally like I was riding in, fifth dimensional consciousness. You could have spit in my face and I would have went, huh, and walked away and kept on tra-la-la-ing. Nothing was like touching me. And then over a 2-week period, I kind of was feeling this grip, like trying to hold on no, I like it up here. And Spirit was like, no, you are a human being. You have to figure out how to maneuver in the 3D with what now that you know. Oh, okay. And I know that I'm attached to people I still love. I know that energetic connection, not just to the collective, but to those even more personally intertwined with me, has really just got me in this very heavy energy that, I mean, I look at something on YouTube and it just moves me to tears. And I'm feeling the sadness, the separation. I'm feeling duality. from this position of, I can't be there. What I can hope and what I feel like in all those situations and circumstances before, when people were in, directly having involvement with me, this is what at least their soul, their higher self, their God speak, that they maybe not have recognized then, but I know I can't be there. That it's necessary for me to not be there. And in recognition of the forces greater than us that we are called collectively a part of, but it's that greater whole, as duality has presented itself in individualism and self-expression. I'm having to sit in my position, still very aware of these levels of comfort that we can all exist in, but recognizing I want those same experiences, no matter how painful, no matter how excruciating, no matter how resistant you are for the experience, how necessary they are. And this portal being the 1212 portal before the new year, the 2020 new year, my sun sign being an Aquarius, but also in all of this, I've recognized how essential your rising sign is. And my rising sign is a Leo. So as my soul speaking to me through that Leo in my first house, and as my soul speaks, because that integration is literally where my personality is being an Aquarius, but my soul is being a Leo. That's that integrating, that necessity to, glean what I've needed to glean, sit in a position of, I know, and I'm acting out, I'm putting out, this I'll show. I know and I'll show. It's living in an authentic place, because your soul and your personality are becoming aligned and integrated. And that's kind of what's going on with a lot of awakened spirits right now as we are navigating through this ascension process. Soul maturity, emotional maturity, it's going by a different flavor. However when you hear it, it resonates with you, because that's, again, aligning into your own personal truth. Is you hear these different words, and one of them will ring truer than the other, but to be in that level of understanding that it all kind of means the same thing. Ascending, awakening, soul alignment, emotional maturity. Because we are sentient beings, emotional maturity becomes so critical, because your emotions are your feelings. And if we're sentient beings capable of receiving and sending off all these signals through our feelings, and it comes from understanding of our ancestral lineage, that as language and feelings were first budding into our into our communities, because the first signs of language were not words like we speak them now, or even some foreign language. They were literally sounds that were so few, but yet meant so much. So much of it came from feeling. That's what they're recognizing in our history that has been kind of glossed over or purposefully kept from us, is that these ancient civilizations and things that we came from, they were so advanced because of their emotional understanding of community, their emotional understanding of communication. See, community, communication. See, there's a little etymology where those words came from. To be in a community has a sense of communication, that's there. And those are some of those first utterances that we didn't even know we could speak, but then a sound would come out, and it was simply to express to someone else. And it meant so much, but those were the buddings of what we speak now. So you see, as we've evolved in our mental capacities to become so advanced on a technological front, now we're having to kind of catch up in the evolution of our hearts and our feelings and the sentientness of who we are, because there's so much left unsaid when your words can't express what you're feeling or thinking. And the true understanding of God force in our life has no words. It's simply understanding unconditional love, light, time, space, the relationship between all these things, and how we might be glossing over the fact that these all are the same thing. I wanted to pull a couple cards. This video is going a little long, but just to kind of get a storyline for the collective. I'm not going to do any sign or any particular, but just a collective kind of story that may be trying to come through, because it's definitely been a heavy emotional time for me, and it's coming from a position where I'm okay. There's not too much that's emotionally bogging me down. Physically, I mean, all my needs are met, and more. My wants are even being met. So what is it in the collective that I know I can't be a part of directly from those that I'm involved with, but that, you know, any guidance that I can pull from the cards, of course, would be, you know, much appreciated, because Spirit is always there supporting, always there loving, always there acknowledging and accepting and guiding and showing and giving way to the next good thing, so long as you're open to it. So that's why I love tarot, is because this is allowing some people who might not have been open to it in the past to find a little snaky in room to be open to something that maybe they weren't before. First card that comes out is the Three of Pentacles. There's that community. There's the sense of, I have something to contribute and I want to be part of something and come together with people in a very physical sense, because Pentacles are all about what's real, tangible, that, you know, comes into our being by a physical manner. So this is definitely wanting to work with the community kind of sense that I had picked up on in my energy. And then we've got the Five of Wands, Five of Rods in this deck. This is the Morgan Greer. So this is something in regards to coming together is causing resistance. There's resistance and fighting and arguing, and so this is probably a lot of that heaviness. This is putting force into something that requires really not force. And then Two of Swords. So here's that mental block from not being in the flow, because behind this blindfolded and, you know, blocked off woman is all the emotions that are just behind me. I'm not seeing or paying any attention to those because my mind has me thinking I can't move forward. So I'm going to grab a clarifier on... Okay. There's all the clarifiers I will need. This is the Tower and the Two of Cups. So this is definitely, I was speaking on the very beginning of this, is when I had to detach from relationships. This is Spirit coming through and saying, well, if you don't make the move, I will too. So something coming in between relationships that changes either the relationship dynamic or ends the relationship. Something completely altering what we believe is relationships. And then here is actually the Seven of Rods. This is having the upper hand. This is now that defensiveness. This is understanding that, all these rods are below him, and he has the one that's fending them off. So we've progressed from a 5 of rods to a 7 of rods. To me, this is recognizing that relationship dynamics in our lives are there to teach us something about ourselves. Good relationships, bad relationships, those are only judgments. Those are human judgments of things that in an unconditional love doesn't judge it. That it just accepts it, sees it for what it is. Is it a lesson that needs to be learned? Is it something that needs to be altered and changed? Something about relationships, because the sense of wanting to work together is here, but the arguing and the fighting that's creating the block, well, of course, Spirit steps in and says, you can't be blocked for too long. I'll strike that tower down, and relationships will change and move, grow, something in an unconditionally loving manner, which may not feel like it. Again, this is trusting your feelings. Get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Integration is simply integrating. It's maybe not the most comfortable feeling, but life isn't always going to be comfortable. So get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. We are habitual creatures. It will become easier. You will recognize it for what it is and not be so resistant of it. You'll just get in the flow of it, allowing your feelings to flow through, and then moving on after learning what needs to be changed, altered, not externally. Again, you cannot affect other people like you think you can. If you think you can, that's control. And that's not unconditional love, no matter what your intentions are. No matter how beautiful, if they just did it this way, it would be so great and grand. It's still control. It's still a form of control. Allowing. That's unconditional love. Allows. Says, oh, okay. This is how it's going to go. And now I'm in the flow, and this block becomes lifted. And then when you're in this position, you actually have something to defend. It's not just you fighting off everyone you know. This is that I'm defending my position because I have every right to. I've came through the other side of this recognizing my worth. He's up higher than these rods. The yellow signifies happiness and understanding, love, warmth, growth. So allowing that tower to come down to alter or end or teach you what is necessary for your relationships to do what they're... Relationships are awesome teachers. They're either teaching you something about yourself or about the world around you. Not that you have to do anything other than learn and be open, willing, honest. That's how. A lot of people like acronyms. I love acronyms and sayings. How? By being honest, H, open-minded, O, W, willing. How? That's how. So again, I just wanted to do an energy update for the 1212 portal. I hope you've all enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll be putting out individual readings. Not sure if I'm going to do individual signs or elements or how that'll go, but keep tuned and it'll be there.